Hi, and welcome to Writing the College Essay, Getting Started. My name is Lori Klain. I've been teaching students how to write for 20 years. And in my work in independent schools, one of the writing assignments that has caused the greatest stress to my students is writing the college essay. I'm here today to help get you started through this sometimes painful process. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need to do is brainstorm. So what I want you to do is open up a document, a Google Doc or a Word doc, or get out a piece of paper. There's an idea. And see if we can brainstorm together to try to get some ideas about who you are. When you discover who you are, you're going to have a much easier time conveying that to someone else. So go get that. Stop the video right now and go get that piece of paper or open up that document. Okay, ready to write? Here's my first prompt for you. What's the best way to spend a rainy day? I just want a word, maybe 2 words, not more than 5 words. What's the best way to spend a rainy day? Okay, now what is your favorite feature on your favorite device? Next, what's your favorite music? And how did you discover it? This might be an artist or a genre, but how did you discover it? And again, just a word or 2, up to 5. Okay, take a minute to think about a problem you once solved. It doesn't have to be anything big, just something that was a problem and you solved it. Next, who's your actual mentor? Who is the person whose footsteps you follow? Who is the person you would most like to emulate? Write down a time that you screwed up, a time you made a mistake. It can be a huge mistake. It can be tiny. And don't tell me you've never made a mistake. Next, name 5 physical objects that you wouldn't want to live without. What might those be? See if you can think of 5. I'll give you a little bit longer for this one. Okay, I hope you have your 5 objects. Next, what's your favorite season? There are only 4. This shouldn't take you too long. Next, do you have something that you've loved and lost? What might that be? It could be some kind of lucky charm you had. It could be a pet. It could be a person. Okay, so now take a minute to look at your list. Look at it carefully. Is there anything on that list that particularly resonates with you? One of those items that you think, I've got something to say about that. I think I could, tell a story about that. Your college essay might lurk right there. It might seem as distant as that mountain in Banff, but I think it's right there on the paper in front of you. And it's probably a story. Okay, so now it's time to think about the prompts. The Common Application has 7 different prompts, and each of these prompts is put together to find out more about you. Colleges want to know who you are. They want to figure out what about you isn't shown in the rest of your application. What is different about you? What is special? And you might say, there's nothing different or special about me. And I doubt it. I doubt that that's true. If you look back at your list, you're going to find something there that you might have a little glimmer of feeling about, that you think, I could spend some time on this topic and see if it shows a little bit more about me. Let me give you an example as we look through the 7 prompts. Here's prompt number 1. Some students have a background identity, interest, or talent that is so meaningful they believe their application would be incomplete without it. If this sounds like you, then please share your story. What does that really mean? There's this thing you need to know about me. Whatever that thing might be. Let's say you're an Olympic athlete, or your parents had a horrible divorce. You're biracial. You live in a tiny, tiny town. Something that is so vital that might not show up anywhere else on your application that you really want to share. That's prompt number 1. If there's something back on that brainstorm list that you say, oh, this is this thing that's not going to be revealed on the rest of my application, this is what I need to be talking about, then you want to do prompt number 1. Prompt number 2. The lessons we take from obstacles we encounter can be fundamental to later success. Recount a time when you faced a challenge, setback, or failure. How did it affect you? And what did you learn from the experience? Now, it's interesting because they actually rewrote this prompt. Too many students were too horrified by the word failure. And I think a lot of kids didn't write about it for that very reason. So they added challenge or setback. It's kind of fascinating. What does it still really mean? There's this time I screwed up, but I learned something significant. Now, it does not have to be something major. It really doesn't. It can be a totally small thing. It could be something in sports. It could be something in a friendship. It could be something, at school or in a club or at church, or just this time when you did something that wasn't quite what you wanted it to be and you screwed up. But you actually learned something important. Now, if there's a time that you messed up and you didn't learn anything important, then maybe this prompt isn't the one for you. Here's prompt number 3. Reflect on a time when you questioned or challenged a belief or idea. What prompted your thinking? What was the outcome? What that really means, there's a time I challenged a belief and now I'm a different person. There might be a lot of different times you could challenge a belief. It might be something as basic as arguing with your grandfather about religion, but it could also be something a little quirky, like you love country music and you live in New York City. There's something that is a little challenging about that challenges some of the beliefs of that urban life. So it can be that kind of challenge too. Prompt number 4. Describe a problem you've solved or a problem you'd like to solve. It can be an intellectual challenge, a research query, an ethical dilemma, anything that is of personal importance, no matter the scale. Explain its significance to you and what steps you took or could be taken to identify a solution. What that really means, here's how I once solved this really cool problem that means a lot to me. Now, a lot of aspiring engineers write the Lego essay. I don't really recommend the Lego essay. Try to think of another kind of problem you might have solved. It could go back to, how did you learn to tie your shoes? Was this a big problem for you? And did it take you a while to figure it out? Was it a problem in math? Was it a problem when you were building a birdhouse? Was it a problem when your family was lost and you looked at a map and figured out the solution. Think of a time you solved a problem. If this idea appeals to you, then prompt number 4 is probably the one for you. Prompt number 5. Discuss an accomplishment, event, or realization that sparked a period of personal growth and a new understanding of yourself or others. What does that really mean? This thing happened. I did it, or it was something I realized and I went, aha! I'm a better person because of it. If you had an aha moment, maybe it was a formal moment like a bar bat mitzvah. Maybe it was the first time you took care of your baby sister by yourself. Maybe it's the first time you traveled by yourself. Maybe it's a time when you figured out a thing that had been elusive to you and suddenly you feel like you understood it. It was that aha moment. If you've ever had a moment like that, then prompt number 5 will be for you. Here's prompt number 6. Describe a topic, idea, or concept you find so engaging that it makes you lose all track of time. Why does it captivate you? What or who do you turn to when you want to learn more? What that really means? There's this thing I love, and I want to tell you all about it. This prompt is new, and I have to say that I find it to be so compelling. Maybe you love to play video games. Maybe you love to play the piano. Maybe you adore hiking. I think you could have some fun with this particular prompt too if you explored things you love that are maybe a little unconventional to love. You could describe a love of pistachio ice cream, or you could describe a love of something that would be common to everyone's experience, such as a love of sleep. I think you could really have some fun with this one. Speaking of fun, here's prompt number 7. Share an essay on any topic of your choice. It can be the one you've already written, one that responds to a different prompt, or one of your own design. What that really means? Freestyle. You can do what you want with this one. You should not include the essay that you wrote on Hamlet in your English class. But what you can do with this particular prompt is anything you want, and you can also include, perhaps if you write a great supplement for another school that's not part of the Common App and you really want to include that, you can work that up to make quite a nice personal statement. And that can work for you. But prompt number 7 has so much open to it that I think that if you have something you just want to write about, prompt number 7 might be the way to go. Here's what's weird about some of these prompts. They can all fit into one another. In some ways, you could write any one of these essays and use it to answer another one of the prompts. The idea is that you have a story, and now you just need to write it. Sit down and write your story. This isn't your essay yet. It's simply you telling a story, and it's going to be a great starting point for a fantastic personal statement. Okay, so after you've written your story, what's next? That's a great question. Now you need to look at what you've written and shape it. Shape it and organize it into an amazing personal statement. Let's take that beautiful story and turn it into a meaningful essay.